the pieces when if and when things fall out of place for you? Is she going to be able to make sure the household is taken care of? What happens if you get hurt on the job and you're not able to work anymore? Because I can tell you now that Social Security is not going to take care of everything in that house.
Right.
So that's my thing. I guess everybody has their different opinion on that, but I know I have mine, and I'm glad.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
I'll quickly add. One of the things is there's a confusion in the community because you either have men who say they're looking for like a traditional type of woman who's Christian and does all the typical traditional things, and then you have women who want a traditional type man who is a provider and does all those type of things, but they never look at the fact that in order for that to happen, they themselves have to feel the other part of the equation. If you're looking for a woman that looks after the household and that's her only job, then you better be making enough money for that, or providing enough for that. If you want a man that is has that leadership and has that job security and all that kind of stuff, you better have something to bring to the table. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that also needs to be addressed. Is like before you start having qualifications for your partner, your future partner, you got to have qualifications for yourself. What standard of person would your future partner want? Just because you want, a God-fearing man, are you a God-fearing woman? If you just because you want to secure, financially secure man, are you a financially secure woman? Just because you want a homemaker to look after everything in the house while you go out and work, do you supply the other side of that? Can you? It's funny, we always, how they say your eyes is bigger than your head type of thing.
Yeah.
It's like we want the things that we are not able to that we technically don't even qualify for. You know what I mean? Like if you want a house, you better be saying you want a house because you're able to qualify for a house and you plan on getting it. Don't just be saying it and you're just cool staying in, your apartment renting and not even trying to move up. So I think that's something we gotta do too, man. We gotta look at ourselves as much as we try and judge the other part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's that account. That goes back into that accountability thing that I've talked about before. And the thing is, I don't know if you guys have kept up with the whole clip thing where K Michelle where she went and said that she feels that all men are bad, and we got into a debate on that one as well, and I was like, how can she say that? Because I mean, you haven't been with all men, so you can't necessarily say that all men are bad. I mean, and that goes back into that accountability thing: is how do you continue to keep putting yourself through that cycle? Are you not, doing background checks on these guys? Are you ignoring the red flags? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And so, and that, like I said, it goes back into that accountability. That I mean, you have to be accountable to who you let around you and the energy that these people put off and the spirits that you bring around you. I mean, because and this is just from me, I know if a person isn't right, my spirit is going to be disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it determines. And I mean, we as people, sometimes we try to ignore what our spirit actually tells us, but it's going to keep tugging at you until you actually like, hey, look, you need to get it together. This person ain't right for you. What's going on?
Yeah.
So, okay, next question. You guys said that you guys went through the premarital counseling and everything. Because, I mean, and do you feel like that helped you guys? Do you feel like that helped you guys to get a better understanding of each other? Or, I mean...
yeah, definitely. I mean, because me and Muja from day one, I've always been conscious of, making sure there's transparency between us, but it's only a prideful person, is so sure of themselves that they won't take a test or look outside of themselves. So it wasn't even like we necessarily needed premarital counseling, and even in some areas where we thought we didn't need it, we actually were able to see a different perspective. I feel each other, then you shouldn't feel a little squirmish when somebody asks you, some questions about your partner. You shouldn't be worried about it going to premarital counseling. You shouldn't be worried about telling your mom and your dad, like certain aspects of your relationship. Because if you know something's wrong, you'll feel guilty. You'll be like, you know what, I'm not going to tell my mom that I sleep over at my girlfriend's house like 3 days out of the week because I know I wasn't raised to, do that with my partner. Or, you know what I mean? It's like you'll become guilty. You'll be less likely to share certain things. You won't share with your friends like, oh no, yeah, we get into arguments and don't even talk for a whole week. You know that's not right. Because if you say that around friends, especially friends that you feel will keep you accountable, they'll kind of ask you like, so what's going on? Like that isn't really, that's supposed to be wifey? You know what I mean? Like they'll bring it up to you if these are quality people in your life. So I feel like us going to premarital counseling was also not only just to reaffirm that we have been communicating properly, but also to, get a third opinion, man, because it's very easy to just be very biased and arrogant in your opinion. Like, oh, no, yeah, we know each other. Full stop. You know what I mean? It's like going to a doctor. The reason why you don't go to a doctor because, oh, well, you don't feel like anything's wrong with you. But a doctor ain't going to see the same, ask you the same questions or test you in the same way that you've been testing yourself. Right. So that's how I see it. Okay. What about you, Beth?
I mean, I agree. It's always great that says that wisdom is getting is established in counsel, and so having input from other people who are outside of the two of you is very important and gives you an insight on things that you can't see clearly. So I think premarital counseling was very useful and helpful for us.
Okay. See. Oh man, and you know what? I feel like because Chris, I was married when we were working together, and I recently just in June got my divorce. I kind of feel like if we would have went through that premarital counseling, the same way you guys went, a lot of things would have been out there that we learned about each other, and we had to learn about it the hard way. And
exactly.
And I felt like once things started, those lines of communication weren't always open the way that they should have been. And I felt like maybe if we had, sought out some type of counseling when those problems start arising and we weren't talking to each other for a couple of days, or I would get up and pack up and I leave and I go to my mom's house and stay a couple of days. And I felt like maybe I would probably still be in my marriage now. And it had been, 7 years that I'd have been married to today. But, I mean, things happen for a reason. I think we learned from them. And I can most definitely tell you this was a learning experience for me. And I see and I tell a lot of the ones that are getting married after me that ask me how did you last for so long, and what type of advice can you give me? So I won't try to make those mistakes. I'm always communicate with your partner, and that's one of those things that I kind of pride myself on now, because there is gonna be a time where I would like to be married once again, and it's one of those things where I tell them, I don't care what y'all argued about. Do not go to bed mad at each other at night, because tomorrow's not promised. Tomorrow's not promised to anybody. Y'all could argue that night, both of y'all lay down, and then one of y'all not wake up the next day.
Exactly, and not only that, man. Prevention is better than the cure. I'd rather, go through as much premarital counseling as I have to in order to avoid any kind of surprises, or miscommunication that could happen down the line. Just like, I'd rather go to the doctor today, as much as it's annoying, to make sure that if I do have any type of illness or cancer, I can get ahead of it before it gets too worse, So that's definitely one of the things. Communication is also the first step in prevention. You got to communicate for that.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely agree, and I guess I don't know. I guess sometimes I can just beat it with a dead horse. Is man, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I miss the companionship sometimes, and that's why I say, man, love the person that you with. If they are good for you, love them while they're there, because once they're gone, they're gone. But I don't think I have anything else for you guys, man. But I want to thank you guys for coming. Sorry, go ahead, Major.
I'll add communication is key. The comprehension is so important because sometimes we think we're communicating something to a person and they're interpreting it differently in their mind. So it's always great while in communicating that we get rid of assumptions and always have room for clarification, because, you know, the way we're thinking, we're translating something to somebody is not how they may always view it in their mind. And so it takes practice, but, you know, it sounds ridiculous, but, you know, that repeat method of like, okay, someone say something to you, now you're like, okay, this is what I'm hearing you say. Is this correct? This is how you're feeling. Am I understanding it correctly? I think that's a method that helps get rid of assumptions that stays in our mind as we are hearing someone talk and how we are interpreting the messages.
Yeah, and you know, I had to explain it to another girl that I was doing another podcast with. Is she tried to stress that communication is the biggest key, and like I told her, I said you can communicate with a person all day long, but if they don't understand what you're communicating with them about, then it's pretty much going in one ear and out the other because they don't understand. I mean, you have to break it down to a person. I mean, man, that's where that compatibility comes in knowing your spouses. And I mean, I don't know if you guys believe in believing in your spouse's love language. You have to communicate, huh?
Yeah, we agree.
Okay. So, I mean, because I know my love language is words of affirmation. So, I like being complimented. I don't care about the gifts and all that stuff. I'd rather for you to tell me, hey, you're doing a good job, than you show up with a brand new car sitting outside. Now the car would be nice. Don't get me wrong. But I would rather for you to, you know, give me a card, write something down, shoot me a text, say, hey, I'm just thinking about you, or thank you for being who you are. Thank you for being the person that who you are in my life. Something, you know, something. That's what I would rather for you to do.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays it's so easy because, you know, we're not sponsored or nothing. You ain't sponsored either. Maybe you can get a sponsor, but there's an app, 4 or 5 love languages, where, you know, you and your partner take the test, and pretty much the app will tell you what the partner, you know, what's it called, what their love language is. So with me and Moose, if I look at my app, like me and Moose are taking it, it'll tell me that, you know, since her love language is, let's say, words of affirmation, it will tell me that, you know, I'll set it to say, like, okay, I want to say 4 or 5 affirming things to her, because that is her love language, because that's her highest love language. And then they have the other 4, you know, in tiers as to how many times. So she, like, this second, you know, maybe I'll gift her with something, or, you know, make something for her, you know, stuff like that. So in the time of information that we live in, it's very hard to use the excuse that, oh, you didn't know about it, or you didn't know enough information. You can literally look up any and everything. They even have apps for these things. So if you really want to commit to something such as love language, you can usually look it up, read it up. You can get the app for you and your partner and start making steps towards understanding that person better, you know?
Right. I understand completely. Now, answer this question for me. We got into a debate on the last episode that I did with Queen Saji, and her boyfriend or boo, whatever he is, was there, and his sister, and we were talking about the personal time to ourselves, and we kind of got into a little argument because, oh well, they pretty much want you to be up under them all